Is the world on the brink of witnessing another full-scale war between Israel and Hezbollah? This question has been lingering in the minds of many as tensions continue to rise in the Middle East. The escalating conflict between these two forces is not as simple as it may seem on the surface. It revolves around a complex web of power dynamics, political motivations, and historical grievances. Let's break it down a bit.
The ongoing Israel-Hamas war in the latest and also amid escalating tensions between Israel and Hezbollah. Hezbollah has announced that it launched a barrage of some 40 rockets at a military base in northern Israel in response to Israeli strikes on Lebanon.
On one side we have Israel, a nation continually battling for its security in a region rife with conflict. On the other we have Hezbollah, a political and military organization based in Lebanon, backed by Iran and armed with a mission to eradicate Israel from the Middle East. Now, why is this cause for concern? Well, the ongoing skirmishes and mutual attacks between these two parties have been escalating, raising serious concerns about the possibility of another full-scale war. The situation has drawn international attention and calls for peace negotiations are growing louder. The stakes are even higher due to the involvement of Iran, a major regional power with its own set of interests and agendas. Iran's support of Hezbollah adds a significant dimension to the conflict, making it not just a local issue, but a matter of international concern. The tension is palpable, the situation volatile. Lives have already been lost, and the potential for further destruction and humanitarian crises is real. Yet, amidst all this, the world watches, hoping that diplomacy will prevail over destruction, that dialogue will replace the drone strikes and missile attacks. As we delve into this complex issue, let's remember that the stakes are high, and the potential for loss is immense. We are not just talking about the loss of life and property, but also the loss of hope for a peaceful coexistence in a region that has seen too much bloodshed. This is not just about Israel and Hezbollah. It's about the people caught in the crossfire, the innocent lives at stake, and the future of peace in the Middle East. To understand the present, we must first look to the past. A key to unlocking the current tension between Israel and Hezbollah lies in the chronicles of their past conflicts. The history of animosity between these two entities is long and fraught, punctuated by wars and skirmishes that have shaped the landscape of West Asia. The first major conflict erupted in the early 80s when Israel invaded Lebanon to tackle the Palestinian Liberation Organization. This invasion inadvertently gave rise to Hezbollah, a group that would later become Israel's most formidable adversary. Fast forward to the summer of 2006, the world witnessed a grueling 34-day war between Israel and Hezbollah. This war, known as the Second Lebanon War, was a turning point for Hezbollah, marking its transition from a guerrilla group to a quasi-military organization. The aftermath of the war was a tense calm, punctuated by occasional flare-ups. But the situation took a turn for the worse when drone strikes and missile attacks became a part of their conflict's vocabulary. These attacks, often tit for tat, have escalated the tension between the two sides, pushing them closer to the brink of another full-scale war. One of the major factors contributing to the current escalation is the displacement of people in Gaza. Reports of Israeli drone strikes and military operations in Gaza have not only resulted in casualties, but have also forced people to abandon their homes and seek shelter elsewhere. This human displacement adds a heartbreaking dimension to the conflict, making the stakes even higher. But perhaps the most significant factor that has led to the current escalation is the involvement of Iran. Iran's support for Hezbollah, both materially and ideologically, has been a source of concern for Israel. This support has empowered Hezbollah, making it a potent adversary for Israel and raising the specter of a broader regional conflict. The past paints a grim picture, but it's the present that has the world holding its breath. As we delve deeper into the present situation in the next segment, remember, history is not just a story of what has happened, but a warning of what could happen. Tensions are high, and the signs of impending conflict are clear. The current situation between Israel and Hezbollah is nothing short of a powder keg waiting to explode. Recent times have seen a sharp escalation in mutual attacks. Drone strikes and missile launches have become an alarming norm, with Israel's key military and naval bases becoming the subjects of unwelcome attention. Both sides are not just bracing for impact, but actively gearing up for full-scale war. The military preparations underway are extensive, signaling that this is not a mere show of force, but a warning of what could come. The fear of another war is not unfounded, it is a chilling reality that looms over West Asia. The international response has been a chorus of concern and calls for peace. Yet, the involvement of external powers, particularly Iran's support for Hezbollah, adds a complex layer to the situation. It's a geopolitical chess game where every move can bring about far-reaching consequences. However, amid the politics and power plays, it is the civilians who bear the brunt of the conflict. The northern region of Israel has seen an exodus as people flee their homes, seeking safety away from Hezbollah's relentless missile and drone attacks. The potential for a humanitarian crisis is real, and the cost in human lives is already too high. The ongoing conflict has resulted in hundreds of casualties, and the fear is that this number will only rise if war breaks out. The destruction in its wake would not just be physical, but also psychological. The trauma of war is a heavy burden to bear, especially for those who have already suffered losses. The situation is volatile, with warnings issued and threats made. The world is watching, holding its breath as the tension builds. The conflict has reached a critical point, teetering on the edge of full-scale war. The fear is palpable and the stakes are high. Yet amid all this, hope endures, the hope for peace and for a resolution that spares more lives from being lost. As the world watches, the question remains, will there be another war? In this tense situation, the role of external powers cannot be overlooked. Let's take a closer look at Iran. Iran has been a significant player, supporting Hezbollah both politically and militarily. This support has not only strengthened Hezbollah but has also intensified the conflict. Iran's backing of Hezbollah has been crucial in the group's ability to continue to launch attacks against Israel. This has escalated the tensions, and the fear of a full-scale war looms larger than ever. But Iran isn't the only external power influencing the situation. The United States, along with other international actors, has been actively involved in trying to de-escalate the tensions. The US has urged restraint from both sides and has called for peace negotiations. Yet, the effectiveness of these efforts remains to be seen, as the situation continues to be volatile with mutual attacks and warnings from both Israel and Hezbollah. There is a delicate balancing act at play here. On one hand, external powers like Iran are fueling the conflict, while on the other, powers like the United States are working to defuse it. The actions of these external powers are not just influencing the current situation, but will also shape the eventual outcome of this conflict. This is not just about Israel and Hezbollah anymore, it's about the larger geopolitics of the region and the world. It's about the ripple effects of this conflict on the stability of the Middle East and beyond. It's about the people caught in the crossfire and the potential for further humanitarian crises. The involvement of these different external powers, each with their own interests and agendas, adds another layer of complexity to an already intricate situation. It's a high-stakes game of chess, and the moves made by these external powers will determine the course of this conflict. The involvement of external powers adds another layer of complexity to an already intricate situation. In this climate of escalating conflict, is peace a possibility? It might seem like a far-fetched dream, but peace is not an impossibility. Amid the rising tensions and fiery rhetoric, there are whispers of peace negotiations and efforts to prevent further violence. Numerous international efforts are underway, aimed at de-escalating the situation and brokering a compromise. The potential for peace lies not just in the hands of the conflicting parties, but also in the collective efforts of the international community. There's a call for diplomatic intervention, for dialogue over destruction, and understanding over aggression. The path to peace is undoubtedly thorny, but it is a journey we must undertake. Let's not forget the potential consequences of another war, the loss of lives, the destruction of homes, the displacement of people. These are not just numbers or headlines in the news. These are real people, real families bearing the brunt of the conflict. The price of war is often paid by those who have the least to do with the cause of the conflict. It is essential to remember that war is not a solution but an exacerbation of existing problems. It creates a cycle of violence that is hard to break and leaves scars that take generations to heal. The hope lies in breaking this cycle, in finding solutions that address the root causes of the conflict, rather than just the symptoms. In the face of escalating conflict, the potential for peace might seem dim, but it is not extinguished. It lies in every call for ceasefire, every plea for negotiation, every effort to protect innocent lives. Peace is not just the absence of war, but the presence of justice, the respect for human rights, and the pursuit of a better future for all involved. As we look to the future, the hope for peace remains, even in the face of escalating conflict. The journey might be long and arduous, but the potential for a peaceful resolution exists. It is this hope that we must cling to, this potential that we must strive towards. For in the end, peace is not just a possibility, but a necessity. And I'll keep yearning for your burning opinion on Israel-Hezbollah's ongoing dispute.